Hi, my rays of sunshine. My name is Rhea and welcome to Ray's Take. I do video essays on a series of topics that people in their 20s can relate to and just things that I care about. So if that sounds like it's of interest to you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We don't often talk about what it means to love someone or be loved with mental illness. There's often fear, stigma, and just a quiet voice in the back of your head saying, can this relationship survive? The answer is yes, but it does take communication, understanding, and work. And today we'll be exploring the ways that mental health can affect relationships, but also the ways in which you can have a happy and healthy relationship, even with mental health challenges involved. In this video, we'll be focusing on depression and anxiety just because those are the two most diagnosed mental disorders by far, but I'm fully aware that there are a lot more that can affect relationships as well. This chart, published by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration in 2021, shows the past year prevalence of US adults that had at least one major depressive episode within the last year. An estimated 21 million adults in the United States had at least one major depressive episode, representing 8.3% of all US adults. Those between ages 18 to 25 accounted for 18.6%, with that number sharply dropping as you move into higher age ranges. Additionally, a 2023 study by Gallup found that the percentage of US adults who report having been diagnosed with depression at some point in their lifetime has reached 29%, nearly 10 percentage points higher than in 2015. And finally, according to Statista, in the United States, it is estimated that around 6.2% of the population suffers from an anxiety disorder. A survey from the CDC that has run through the pandemic and has measured symptoms of anxiety disorder among US adults found that in August 2023, almost 32% of women and 25% of men had symptoms of anxiety disorder. With all that being said, there's a very real possibility that at some point in your life, you or your partner will be struggling with a mental health issue. And that doesn't have to be diagnosed. Sometimes people just go through depressive phases in their life. And because the prevalence of these issues is just so much higher for young adults, I'm here to tell you that you can have a healthy and happy relationship, even if you're struggling and even if your partner is struggling. There are ways to do it. And I feel like everyone is very quick to say, you shouldn't be in a relationship at all, you should focus on working on yourself. And while that is true in some cases, nuance does exist, and it's just not the case for everyone.
If you are in a relationship with somebody that is suffering from depression, anxiety, bipolar, anger issues, narcissism, know that this affects you as well. What happens in these relationships is that people are so hyper-focused on taking care of the person with the illness that they forget that they need taken care of too. Focus in on yourself. Figure out what your needs are. How are you going to cope? And even in being there for this person, how can you still hold yourself as priority? Remember, it's like putting on that gas mask, because if you can't take care of you, nobody's going to be there to take care of them.
You're in a relationship with someone battling mental health challenges, or if you are that someone, this is one of the most difficult yet important videos you'll probably see today. A symptom of mental illness that people don't talk about is emotional volatility, tense mood swings that leave your partner feeling like they need to walk on eggshells around you to avoid extreme reactions to small things. There was a time when I was that person. Our reactions were explosive, and moods would swing from incredibly high to incredibly low, and it was tough, not just for me, but for my poor partner too. And naturally, over time, I started to feel guilty. I couldn't let that go on. I took accountability accountability for how my mental health was impacting both of us, and it was hard, but it was also necessary. So I worked on myself, learned to soothe my emotions and regulate my mood swings, because I knew I couldn't be the partner I wanted to be until I did.
It's so isolating, and I remember telling you like multiple times that I felt alone. I remember that being like triggering for you at the same time, because you're like, well, what do you mean?
I'm right here.
Yeah, like you're not alone. And so it's so hard to navigate, because I feel like for me, like no matter what I did or said, I was just really battling with it, and you couldn't fix me. And I think that you wanted to.
100% wanted to.
And you wanted to just like make it better, which rightfully so. Like if you were going through something, I would just want you to feel better.
I myself have struggled with feelings of anxiety and depression throughout my own relationship. And even my boyfriend had one depressive phase during COVID. I think that speaks for itself. But it was really just hard for me to be on the flip side of it. And you know, I had to learn how to support him through that as well. So as for how this affects your relationship, I wanted to break this down into how it affects the partner with a mental illness and the partner without, because it can have really different effects on both of them. So I feel like a really big thing for the partner who's not struggling with their mental health is that they can really start to bear the weight of their partner's entire mental health. And that can be a lot for one person to handle, especially a young adult. You know, you're still figuring out your own life and who you are. And while you, of course, love and care for your partner and you want to make them happy, in any relationship you want to make your partner happy, you cannot be the full source of their happiness. And they have to be able to find that within themselves rather than relying on you 100% of the time, because you're just one person and you really can't be a person's entire happiness, and you're not always going to make your partner happy. In any normal relationship, you don't always make your partner happy, and you shouldn't have that weight bearing down on your mind of, I need to do this so that they stay happy, I need to do that so that they stay happy, because that's just gonna eat away at you and break you down, and it's not gonna be healthy for anyone. Another effect that commonly happens is you start to ignore your own needs. You know, you're so focused on keeping your partner happy and just in a good mental state that you know, you start to diminish your own needs and you start to forget the things in the relationship that you want or that you need. And even if you realize that, you may not even want to communicate that to your partner just because you're afraid of upsetting them. And it's very easy for you to start to feel dissatisfied in the relationship if all of your wants and all of your needs aren't being met, simply because, you know, either you don't want to voice them or you voice them to your partner and, you know, they're just not able to be met. And another big issue here is just feeling like nothing you do is good enough for them. I feel like that's a really common way of thinking to fall into, you know, because you do have this feeling like, you know, the things you do for them, the things you say to them should be making them happy. And another really big negative effect that this can have on a relationship is just feeling like nothing you do for them is good enough. And I understand this line of thinking, of course, but it does imply that the things that you do or the things that you say should be enough to make them happy. And I get that, but that's just not a good way of thinking about it, because again, you are not responsible for making them happy. You do what you can in any relationship to make your partner happy, but you shouldn't diminish the things you've done for them by thinking, oh, they'll never be happy. I've done this, this, and this for them, but they're still not happy. It's just not the way it works. You know, they can appreciate and love the things you do for them, but again, that is not always going to just make them happy. And you need to be okay with that. Like, of course, you will still continue doing those things and saying those things, you know, to make them happy, and just because you're in a relationship with them and you love them. But you also need to be able to accept, you know, this may not make them happy, and that's not on me. With what they're going through, you really just need to be able to separate the things that you do for your partner from their happiness. Because as much as we all want to make our partners happy, sometimes, depending what they're going through, you know, they're just not going to be happy. And it doesn't mean that you didn't do a good enough job. It just means, you know, they're going through something beyond you, and it's not up to you to fix that. And as for the partner who is struggling with mental health issues, you know, a really big thing is just feeling like a burden, you know, and no one wants to feel like a burden, but especially when, you know, you're struggling with your own feelings, your own emotions, maybe that's bleeding into the relationship, in your argument. So let's say, you know, you're just not saying the best things to your partner, or you're just not communicating with them because you're just not in the headspace to do it. It's really easy to feel like a burden, to feel like, you know, you're just an inconvenience to their life, which isn't true. You know, I think we can all say that with our friends, with our family, in our relationships, you know, there are times we just don't particularly like that person, and that's okay. You know, we're not all always going to get along all the time, but, you know, of course, we don't think of those people as burdens in our lives. And I feel like, especially if you're in, you know, a committed relationship, you have to stop thinking that every issue that comes up, or maybe something maybe hurtful that you said, you know, yes, those things do suck, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your partner is now thinking, oh, you're a burden to my life. And of course, you're gonna have those negative thoughts, but it's very important to learn how to keep them at bay, and also just how to distinguish what you're feeling from reality. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of the time it's very easy to kind of disconnect from what's actually going on and just feed into those thoughts that you keep having. And then another big issue is just the anxiety and the fear of the relationship ending. You know, every argument that you get in, no matter how small, no matter how petty, your mind just goes to, okay, they're leaving me now. They no longer want to be with me. And, you know, in any standard relationship, you're gonna have arguments. You're gonna have disagreements. And just because you have one doesn't mean your partner's gonna go running for the hills. But when you're already dealing with mental health issues, you know, it's really easy to blow up everything, no matter how small, into the biggest thing in the world. So it's really easy to start thinking that every time you upset your partner, or every time they might be annoyed, that they're going to leave. And that in itself can really, really break down the relationship, because you don't have trust that your partner is in it for the long run. You don't have the belief that, you know, they'll stay with you even after one little argument. And, you know, for your partner, they could just get really tired of defending themselves, tired of, you know, telling you over and over again that they're not leaving. And that in and of itself can push them away. So it's just important to not blow up everything that happens into the biggest thing in the world, because it's definitely not. And your partner is most likely not thinking of it that way. So I'm a lover of pop culture, entertainment, media. So wherever I feel like there's just a relevant tie-in, I would love to do that for these videos. So I feel like I can't weigh in on this topic without also addressing one of television's most tragically beautiful couples in recent history, that being Rue and Jules from Euphoria. So I am aware that drug abuse did play a factor in their relationship issues as well, but we can't ignore the mental health issues that Rue goes throughout the show. In the very first episode, we hear Rue detail all of her various mental health issues, including ADHD, OCD, anxiety, and possibly bipolar disorder. When Rue meets Jules later in the episode, she is instantly enamored with her, and thus starts their infamous situationship. We see their friendship begin to grow, as well as Rue's feelings for Jules. And in episode 3, after Jules seemingly rejects Rue's kiss, this then sends Rue into a spiral, and she instantly heads to Fez to get more drugs. And this is showing us that even this early in the friendship, Rue is already relying on Jules for her mental stability. And the moment that Jules upsets her and she feels rejected, you know, she goes to the last possible thing she needs.
I met someone, and she's helped. And now I want to stay clean.
In episode 5, we even see Rue confess that she wants to get clean because she met Jules. Whereas those feelings weren't there before Jules, they're now there after meeting her, which shows that Rue is getting clean for the wrong reasons. And then we start to see the effects that the pressure of Rue's sobriety is having on Jules. She's clearly very uncomfortable when her dad mentions that she's a great influence on Rue. And again, she's uncomfortable when Lexi says that Rue is doing great because of her. You know, she doesn't want the responsibility of Rue's sobriety on her shoulders. She doesn't want to be praised for these things. Of course, she wants Rue to be doing well and to stay clean, but she doesn't want Rue to be doing that because of her, because she's in her life. And we see that the more trapped Jules feels, she attempts to get more space. But as she tries to get more space, the more desperately Rue is clinging on to her.
Jules, what are you doing?
Although I joy in me, I have no joy in this contract tonight.
What are you talking about? I don't know what that means.
And then in episode 6, we see Jules really act out at the Halloween party. You know, of course, partly because she's dealing with the human swine, Nate Jacobs, tormenting her, but also because she feels so trapped and so responsible for taking care of Rue and making sure Rue is okay all the time that, you know, at this party, she just can't really deal with it anymore. And then when Rue is about to leave the party, we see her for the first time really like realize and also acknowledge the effects that her mental health and her sobriety is having on Jules. And we see that Jules eventually goes back to the city to visit one of her old friends, and this just sends Rue deeper and deeper into a depressive state that does eventually land her in the hospital. And when Jules does return, you know, she questions if all of this happened because she left. I think that Rue and Jules are just a great example of what it's like for young adults, or anyone for that matter, to, be dealing with a relationship while you're also struggling with these issues. I think they really depict the push and pull of it all, in that Jules pulls away, Rue wants more, Jules feels overwhelmed and suffocate, pulls away more, and the effect that this has on Rue's mental state is just really heartbreaking to watch. And while at first glance, I think we all wanted to blame Jules, and we all wanted to think that she was the problem. And while certain things she did maybe weren't the greatest, she didn't sign up for the responsibility of taking care of Rue's mental health. She didn't sign up to be the one source of happiness for Rue, because Jules is still figuring out who she is, what she wants, and especially as a young adult, you are going to make mistakes. You are going to hurt the people around you unintentionally sometimes. As much as you love them and care for them, it's going to happen. And you shouldn't have to live with the thought that if I mess up with this person, it's going to send them into a spiral that, leads them into a hospital. That's just a lot of pressure on any one person. And I think that what they have is really beautiful, but we really see how, at the end of the day, that does end up being their relationship's downfall. And I do believe in this case that Rue's battles were probably too severe to the point where she honestly shouldn't have been in a relationship at that point. But there were definitely things that both of them could have done better. But of course, being so young, how would they know any better? Now, I want to talk to you guys about the ways that it is very realistic to have a happy and healthy relationship while you're dealing with mental health issues. First off, this isn't a one-way street sort of thing. It's going to take a lot of conscious effort on both parts. If both people aren't ready and willing to put in the work and the extra care that it takes to make a relationship like this work, then it's just not going to. That conscious effort on both parts does require communication. First off, you really need to communicate it to your partner what you're going through, and that you are dealing with some mental health struggles. If your partner doesn't know, they have no way to even possibly support you. And they also can't even make the decision for themselves whether this is a relationship that they want to be in or not. People deal with mental health in, a lot of different ways throughout their life. Maybe you just started dating someone who they witnessed their whole life, their mother, go through mental health issues, and they just don't feel like it's something that they can go through with a partner. By keeping that from them, by not telling them, you're not even giving them the chance to make that decision for themselves. And I do think, given just the difficulties that a relationship like this can have, it's only fair to let your partner know what they're walking into. And also on the flip side of it, if they do decide that they no longer want to be in this relationship, it's okay. And you shouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't fully accept who you are anyway, that, doesn't want to be dealing with the issues that you're facing as well. In any relationship, communication is important, but especially in a relationship of this nature, you need constant and continuous communication. I think we all sometimes expect our partner to read our minds, but especially if you're in a fragile mental state, you never want to assume that they know what you're thinking or they know what you're feeling. You need to communicate that to them, as well as just communicating to them that you're having a bad day. You know, all of us can have bad days sometimes, but especially if you are dealing with these issues, you know, just let them know if you're having an off day. Let them know what you need. Let them know if, you know, you need some time alone with your thoughts. Let them know if you want to talk to them and just have them like sit there and listen. You know, they need the constant communication to know what you need and to just know how to support you and how to help you. And I feel like all of these things can kind of apply to all relationships as well. You know, another big thing is just choosing your words wisely, especially when you're angry. I think when we're angry, our minds can tend to speed up and we just start like da 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 da. But you need to be able to like slow down your thoughts and actually think through what you're saying. Because if you're angry and you just take a deep breath and you think, like really think about the next thing you say to your partner, I guarantee you it will not be nearly as bad as if you hadn't thought of it at all and you just blurted out the first thing you felt. And when we deal with these issues, it's very easy to just kind of lose control sometimes and then blame it afterwards on what we were feeling. And while what we were feeling may be completely valid, we can still take that time to realize that we're talking to our partner, we're talking to someone that we love, and just be able to take that extra second to consider what you're actually saying to them. And also just remember that it's not your partner's responsibility to make you happy. You know, if you're having a really shitty day, they'll do what they can, but at the end of the day, they can't force you to be happy. They can't do a happy, silly dance and it'll just make everything better. Also, understanding that even though your relationship may be slightly different, you're still going to go through all of the same things that everyone else goes through in their relationships. You're going to have fights. You're going to have insecurities. There are going to be days where things just feel off and maybe you two feel kind of distant. And you need to acknowledge that those are normal things in every relationship. And just because one of those things happens, it doesn't need to spin your whole mind and your whole world like out of whack. And you need to have a plan for what you're going to tell yourself, how you're going to deal with those things before they happen. And on the opposite end, for the partners, you know, you need to understand that if you are willingly choosing to stay in this relationship and nurture this relationship, it's going to require some extra understanding, some extra patience, extra reassurance. You know, these are just some little things that can make your partner's life so much easier. And while it may seem like a lot, you know, just like having a little bit more patience for them when maybe they're struggling to open up, or maybe they're feeling very insecure lately and, you know, you have to give them some extra compliments. You know, those little things can really mean the world to someone who's, you know, just struggling. Also, just don't be afraid to do some research on what your partner is going through, or just taking note of their triggers. You know, say you notice that whenever your apartment gets a little bit too messy or a little bit too cluttered. Your partner starts to feel sort of agitated. They start to feel very overwhelmed. Just take note of things like that. And maybe when you have some extra time, just, put some stuff away, wash the dishes. Just take note of the little things that do seem to affect your partner, and just find the little ways that you can make those things easier on them. And realize that while you can try to make them happy like you would any other partner, do not take on that job of being their happiness, because that will only drive you insane, and it will only have you feeling, kind of hopeless at the end of the day if you've done all these wonderful things for them and they still feel sad. Just acknowledge that you can do what you can, but they are going to feel what they feel regardless of what you do. Learn healthy boundaries. Don't be afraid to let your partner know what you want and what you need. It's so easy in these types of relationships for, all of the focus to be on the person who is struggling, but that can also cause you to struggle. Everyone needs things in a relationship, whether you need reassurance, whether you need physical affection, everyone needs different things. And while your partner is going through their own thing, they chose to stay in this relationship with you and work on things with you. So they also have to realize that that includes taking care of you and taking care of your wants and your needs, because by neglecting what you want and what you need all the time, it's just gonna lead to a lot of unhappiness on your end, a lot of resentment. And also just don't allow your partner to disrespect you or, say mean things or do mean things and then blame it on what they're going through. While they are going through a lot, it's important to establish those boundaries, especially early on, so that they don't start to think that's normal. And so that they can understand that, while you're there for them, while you're going to be patient with them and understanding, you will also not allow them to walk all over you. You can deal with mental health issues and also not treat your partner, badly. You can get in arguments without them turning badly. The both of you can work together to find healthy ways to argue or disagree with each other, because an argument doesn't have to be a screaming match. You don't have to be yelling insults at each other. It can be very respectful if both people work on making it that way. Different things work for different couples, and you both need to find what works best for you. Whether that be, for example, taking space when you get in an argument, even if it's just for a few minutes, or whether you both work better, dealing with it then and there. Just finding the things that work best for both of you, and also just trying to establish a healthy dynamic even when you both aren't particularly getting along or agreeing. I also think it's great to just do things that are healthy for both of you together, whether that be going on a walk, a hike, going to the gym, meditation, or doing yoga. Even outside of mental health issues, just doing healthy things together, establishing just some healthy habits can really have a great impact on both your relationship and both of your mental healths. Dating while dealing with mental health issues is definitely not simple, and it does require a lot more communication, patience, and understanding than a standard relationship does. But you know, it can definitely work if both partners are willing to put in the effort that it does take to nurture a relationship like this. And a healthy relationship can be extremely, extremely helpful for someone who is struggling. Just knowing that they have someone in their corner, someone who will be there for them even through the bad days, and can just help to uplift them. You know, just knowing that they have someone there who loves them and someone who is willing to work on this relationship with them while navigating their struggles alongside them. So before just ending your relationship or not even giving it a chance in the first place, honestly assess within yourself on if this is something that you can and are willing to work on. So before you end your relationship, or you don't even give it the chance to work to begin with, honestly assess within yourself on if this is something you feel that you can and are willing to put the work into to make it work. Because it can surprise you and it can end up being the most beautiful relationship ever. So don't listen to those people who tell you that, you know, it can't work, because sometimes it can. So thank you guys for watching today's video. I hope you like it, and also subscribe to the channel if you like what you're seeing so far. I'll see you guys in the next one.